video is going to be on the lower half of Singer treadles. A lot of people covers the top half, but a lot of people don't talk about the bottom. So I'm going to show you a lot of places to oil and a lot of adjustments on the lower half of the treadle. So this is going to be on the bottom where the foot is. So you're going to have adjustments here. There's going to be a pivot here. This is a spot to oil. It's also a spot for adjustment too. And this takes out the play in here. You've also got another one on this side. There's a pivot here, and then you got an adjuster there. So if there's any play in this one's got a little bit. Could probably use an adjustment because you can see. So it's got a little bit. But that's how you tighten the side to side play up. It's also how you center this with this rod. And you've also got a adjuster back here. And you've also got a basically a little ball joint right there. You got to keep it oiled. And if you're buying one of these that's been setting for a long time, you want to check this ball joint right here, and you want to check these bearings. There's little bearings right here. There's an oil spot here to oil this, but your biggest thing is making sure these ball bearings is not rusted up in one of these. If these ball bearings are bad, you're going to have to replace them. And from what I understand, it's a pretty big job to get in here and try to clean this up. I think there's a special tool that goes in here that maybe takes these out. I'm not real sure. Never had to do one. Another thing is there's a spring that goes here. This one don't have it, but there's supposed to be a spring right here, and this makes this little piece flip back. It's another spot to oil, another spot to check if you're buying one of these used. There is a oil place over here to oil. So there's a lot to check on one of these, and there's a lot of little spots to rust up. But that's the biggest part on these. But you can see these bearings. You can see why these bearings mean so much. You can see why these little ball joints needs to be working on one of these. Some of these had a wood arm. Most of them will have this style. But if you find the early ones, they'll have the little wood one. The wood ones is probably harder to find parts for. So that's another thing to think about. If you find one with wood, they could be a little bit harder to find parts for if that tears up. But you want to check all the iron parts and make sure there's no cracks or breaks. Sometimes people will break them and they'll have cracks hidden in them, but this one's fine. It's going to need another paint job because this has been restored sometime 30-40 years ago, so it's got old finish on it, and it's the paint's getting old, so it could use another restoration. It's about time for another one. You know, there's different kinds of belly pans on these. This one's been restored at one time, and I don't know how much of this is original and how much of this is somebody's fabricated themselves, but I definitely know this hole is not correct. It would actually be a little bitty belt hole and not a big square hole, so I don't really know what all they've changed in here, but you can see that there is been somebody under here at one time doing some kind of work, because there's screws and stuff. Some of this stuff don't look like it adds up. Now these nails look like they could be original, but this piece looks like it might have been later added in. Not real sure. But it's a lot of little pieces that goes into these cabinets. Got a lot of little bitty nails and a lot of little bitty screws. You got a lot of really delicate wood that's just very old veneer wood, and then underneath the veneer it's just like jigsaw puzzled together. So once the veneer comes off, you just got this really wild jigsaw puzzle of little bitty pieces of oak underneath it that puts it together. So when one of these comes apart, it's kind of like putting a jigsaw puzzle back together. It can be a nightmare, and it can be hard to put it back together because just simply of the wood not wanting to fit back together because it'll get out of shape. That's the thing with these. That's one reason you don't see too many of these, is because moisture would get to this veneer and they would just crumble basically. So it's kind of tedious. It can be kind of difficult to keep one of these working and keep it together. This one's fairly good. We do have a lot of veneer issues up here on the top where it's trying to come apart, but I reckon, from what I understand, you can get veneer today and you can re-veneer these. I've got another one and I'm gonna attempt to re-veneer it because it's fell apart and all the veneers came off the top, so I may attempt that in the future. It may be a future video, I'm not sure, but I've got to check on the veneer, see if I can find veneer for it. But that's going to pretty much cover everything on the bottom half of this. That's all the points that you need to know about on the bottom.